Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Pflugerville. And our topic this morning was prompted by a class that we had on Thursday. Those of you that are here in the church know we do a lot of study groups. And we do a broad spectrum, like we're studying in Joel Goldsmith, which is the let's call that advanced spiritual guru, if you will. Then we are studying, a group is studying Catherine Ponder, which is the spiritual principles of prosperity, but also life. And in the past, we've done Charles Fillmore, Myrtle Fillmore, Rob May. We've done a lot of stuff. And the Thursday morning I participate in, I'm in and out, like they're going to start Tuesday night. I don't know if you know that, Barbara, or not.
Yes, she does.
Okay, so thank you for doing that. Barbara House is going to, anyway, she has invited the group into her house on Tuesday evenings. They haven't decided what they're going to study yet, but we're going to work on that. But anyway, I want to talk about Thursday morning and what I learned Thursday morning from Joel Goldsmith. And we were reading, and I'm going to read what we read, because it really stopped me. It was like, wow. Okay, and it was something that was so simple that I hadn't really thought about it. And then what it caused me to do is I spent at least 24 hours just studying what the Bible had to say about this idea. Okay, so are you ready? Monumental advanced. We are talking about the rabbit hole down. Okay? So, here's what it says. Are you ready? Now, this is page 20. No, I'm going to go to page 27, and we'll come back. Okay, on page 27, it says, be suspicious of a truth that seems reasonable. I'll say it again. Be suspicious of a truth that appears or seems to be reasonable. Now, I'm going to add to the human mind. Do you understand that all the things Jesus did are completely unreasonable to the human mind? Because he walked on water, yes. Mm-hmm. He multiplied the water into wine. He raised the dead. He increased the fishes and loaves. He did all kinds of things, okay, which are totally, absolutely unreasonable to the carnal mind. And that kind of went, wow, if you stop and think about that, how does that apply to us? Because the truth is, everything we do is the metaphor that's being described here and in the Bible. So I went into the Bible, and now Joel here, he quotes from 1 Corinthians 2:14. So I had to go into 1 Corinthians 2:14, and I'll read to you 1 Corinthians 2:14. Now again, this is the Lamsa Bible, okay? And 2:14 says, for the material man, that's us, everybody there, rejects spiritual things. They are foolishness to them. Neither can he know them because they are not spiritually discerned. So we in this world are in the physical, and that's what we're working with all the time. And the human mind thinks that spiritual ideas are unreasonable. Everybody there? Now, one of the basics, you ready for the basics, is that I experience my level of consciousness. My life is a direct outcome of my beliefs. So I am living. There's nothing out there. There's nobody to change. There's nobody to fix. There's nothing to make better, because everything is already exactly the way our consciousness has created it. So if I don't like something, I try to change it out there. Agreed? Mm-hmm. But the only way to do is go within. So I live my experience in my consciousness, and there's nobody out there doing anything to me other than my consciousness playing itself out like a movie. Okay? Interesting. So, now I had to do some more, and I kept going and going, because it's full of all kinds of stuff. And here's the idea. Everything Jesus did was unreasonable. Okay? So accept that. And it's one of the reasons I believe that Christianity is under attack today. Because it doesn't make sense. It's not reasonable. It's not something that is day to day. It's not within the realm of the thinkers of the world. It's not normal. Everybody get that? So what is normal? Okay? Struggle, strife, anger, retribution, etc., etc., etc. And Paul said, those things aren't real. We have to live in love and peace and joy. So we are totally contrary to what would be called the natural mind. So aren't you glad to know that? Mm-hmm. You are completely and absolutely unreasonable. Now, Madeline, I want to go back to Madeline's meditation. Okay? What I heard her say was, we have the courage to live who we are. Do you understand how it takes courage to live a spiritual life? And that's what really all of a sudden, bang, came through for me. So we do. Here we teach a pure spiritual life. Now that's my ego speaking, so I have to be careful. But the truth is, there are no shortcuts. There are no things other than everything I experience is my consciousness being created around me, and that's my experience. So if I have a problem with the next door neighbor, it's not the next door neighbor, it's me creating the next door neighbor. And the problem with it is, which is crazy, because that's unreal. What do you mean, that jerk? I created him? Yep. Okay, and so that's a concept which is really fascinating to get through. Now, we can believe that Jesus did miracle things, because he's the quote Son of God. Okay, however, how do we deal with John? You ready? John 14:12. And Jesus said, truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me, believes in me, believes in who I am, the Christ. So once we believe in the Christ and accept the Christ for who we are, shall do the works I do, and even greater these things shall he do. Okay, now, what's it say? Is there any equivocation in there? Is if the good Lord wishes and the creek don't rise and all that kind of stuff. It's a statement of truth. So, how do you deal with that? And how do we deal with it? Because what we're saying is Jesus was completely unreal, and I can't accept anything he did other than putting the divine label on him and being far above me in the spiritual triangle, if you will, in the spiritual layer. So who are you? And what does this say? And it says the kingdom of heaven is within or in you. So the Bible's full of these promises. And the more I look, I really, Madeline was laughing at me because I was up late, just reading over and over, and everything I read was exactly the same. Now, it was interesting that the song that Larry chose, "Open Mine Eyes That I Might Hear."
Bruce chose.
Huh?
Bruce chose
Bruce.
Bruce.
Oh, it's okay.
All right. Bruce.
You're the same.
Oh, yeah. Combined. That's funny, I did that. I put you two together. I did that. But anyway, I'm good, Larry. But if you really stop and think about it, it said, open my eyes that I may see, open my ears that I may hear. So it takes time. In other words, as I dwell in the Christ Spirit, I become closer and closer to my Christ self. And it takes courage, it takes persistence, and it takes commitment to do that. Because as far as I know, it takes a period of time. Now, Paramahansa Yogananda said that we can become enlightened in this lifetime if we choose to. So it's a choice. So I'm back here again, and I'm going to say this again, because it's truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me shall do the works that I do. Period. That's what, I mean, there's no equivocation with that. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts, or There is no other qualifications other than believing in me or believing or accepting the Christ that I am. Okay? Now, I'm going to go on a little bit more because I found in Romans 8:7, and again, this is Paul, okay? And in Romans 8:7, he says, because the carnal mind, now the carnal mind is another term for the physical mind, okay? And for the carnal mind is enmity against God. Now, enmity is one of those old-fashioned words, okay? And it means hostile to. So the carnal mind is hostile to God, or the things of God, or spiritual things. If you really go back in history and look at why Jesus was crucified, anybody agree the biggest issue was he was accused of blasphemy. He was accused of calling himself God. What's true? He was God in incarnation. What's true about you?
We are God.
You are God in incarnation. Now, the world would go nuts if we were out on a corner saying that. Okay? Because why? Because the carnal mind, the normal mind, the human mind that we all experience is hostile to God. Period again. Okay? So there's the irony. In other words, everything I want, everything I'm looking for is my consciousness. And all I have to do is create a consciousness of spiritual oneness and things start working out spontaneously. However, deep within me is also a pattern that says, you've got to be careful because they're going to make fun of you. They're not going to like you. Or what happens? All this stuff. That's why the word courage was so important. So because the carnal mind is, I'm going to go, to be carnally minded is death. To be spiritually minded is life and peace. So the Bible keeps saying this, and Jesus or Paul keeps saying this over and over and over again. So I keep going into this stuff. And I just kept going and going and going. I even went into Charles Fillmore, Prosperity thing. I really was just finding everything. And again, this is the idea of thought. So we're back to basics. And Charles Fillmore says, you can do anything with thoughts of your mind. So the idea that as a person thinketh, so are they. So my consciousness is created around me. In other words, my consciousness created the need to wear glasses. Because maybe I don't like what I see in the world. Now that's a hypothesis. Could be. I'm going to go there, Bob.
You never know.
We really don't. We really don't. But it's fascinating to me that my consciousness I live with, and I have to project it out and blame others. Okay? But it says, are you ready? Where it says, you can do anything with the thoughts of your mind. They are yours and under your control. Now, would you agree it doesn't appear that way? Okay, but then it goes on and says, you can direct them, coerce them, hush them, or crush them. You can dissolve one thought and put another in your head. There is no other place in the universe where you are the absolute master. And that's why speaking words of love, peace, joy, rather than words of anger, even getting involved in a political discussion, there I am again, okay, is contrary to creating a consciousness of peace. Because can you talk about politics and create peace?
No.
Not my opinion. So that's what's around us. See, the world wants to involve us. I've had people get angry in the past. In other words, I've been called Pollyanna, yes. And you can't live that way. And it's like, I've spent a lot of time this week thinking about that. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was kind of working through a little bit of, not depression, but a little bit of downness. Because it seems so overwhelming, this whole energy out there trying to keep us in this fold of negativity. Okay? However, what are the good things? Here, you guys are good.
You're here. That's a
I'm here. Yeah, each one of us is here And it's up to us what we express. So what I'm saying is that it takes courage, it takes work, and it's something that you don't fall off a turn truck and do. So I want to acknowledge each one of you, because you stepped out and you said, here I am. Here I am, Lord, send me, if you will. But it's not send me outside, it's send me inside, so I know who I really am as a child of God. And everything I'm running into, for some reason, I keep getting information. We got a little booklet in the mail yesterday from Unity. Those of you who know who Robert Test is, he was the dean of Unity Seminary for quite a few years. And there's a quote in here: the primary truth, the foundation of all healing, is the realization of our innate oneness with God, our source and our true nature. Can you stop? Everybody's looking for peace. Everybody's looking for happiness. One of the things I'm starting to realize is when it gets too quiet, I get restless. I'll say it again. I notice when it gets too quiet, I get restless. Why? Because the ego wants to keep me stirred up. If anybody understands the physiology of the body, and that when we go into anxiety, things like adrenaline and cortisol come pumping into the body to get me ready to do something. So we all have this cortisol and adrenaline that's constantly there, and when it's not there, we feel restless. Or at least I do. I don't know about you. So what I'm suggesting is the next time you start feeling restless, maybe it's a time to look at, be skeptical of something that looks real. Okay? Because the reality is we're here to be peaceful, we're here to be loved, and you and I are creating our world through our consciousness. And maybe a consciousness of peace just produces peace, quiet, and a quiet mind. What would it be like to have a quiet mind? Anybody?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I believe it's possible. I believe it. Okay? It's like there's so much more. But the whole idea behind this thing is that the whole idea that it's if it's too real or if it's real, we have to be skeptical of it. It was a whole new concept for me.
How about the church building?
Yeah. Folks, it's like the church building. We have had people around us said it's unrealistic to build that without debt. Is that the world?
Yeah.
Yes. We are talking, and Robert Brume's book back there is, we are birthing a new world. We are birthing a new way of doing things. Now, it's not an old way of doing things, it's the original way of doing things. But the fact that we can build that church without debt is a truth that if we hold to it, and when we hold to it, it occurs. So thank you for reminding me of that, Madeline. I'm also looking at healing. In the world, it's not normal to be able to heal or to experience healing. Okay? I'm a perfect example of that. And I'm very thankful for the prayers. I never said this before, but I'm firmly convinced I wouldn't be here if you folks were praying. And my wife. And that's a blessing. So I'm going to encourage you, make your own miracles. And I love you very much. Thank you.